Behind Britain's front doors, a battle is brewing.
He hasn't had his rent for ages. He's owed 24 grand, boss.
It is disgraceful.
On one side, 11 million renters.
This house is hell for us.
Thousands of whom fall victim to rogue landlords.
They are rat droppings.
It's really, really nasty.
On the other side, 2 million private landlords.
I've been down cleaner sewers.
Many facing financial ruin at the hands of tenants from hell.
Oh, disgusting.
I'm just so angry.
Look at it.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
In this series, we follow the heroes who take slum landlords down
Start a fire, electrocute somebody.
and the experts whose job it is to evict nightmare tenants.
Take that away, man! Remember what the court said, you should have been out 2 weeks ago.
For homeowners who move abroad, getting the right tenant to look after your place is essential. But as an absent landlord unable to keep a close eye, having a nightmare tenant in your home can be life-changing. As one woman in West London found out the hard way. Eviction specialist Paul Champlina is on his way to a home in West London. He's starting eviction proceedings against a tenant who appears to have turned the house he's been renting into a hotel while his landlady has been living abroad.
We are going to serve a notice very early to try and catch the occupants in the property. We're acting for a lady called Joy Phillips, who rented her property out in West London, and she has found out that the tenant, who she thought was a doctor, has been renting his property out on a holiday let website, Airbnb.
It looks like the tenant has been cramming in as many as 15 guests a night, earning up to a whopping £10,000 a month without the landlady's knowledge.
We're going to serve a notice called a Section 8 notice, which is for breach of tenancy because of the subletting, which clearly states that this guy's not allowed to do that in his tenancy. And I'm hoping that he will surrender the lease sooner rather than later so we don't have to go to court.
Paul arrives early. It's the tenant he's after, not the guests, who almost certainly have no idea this is someone else's house.
Trouble is, they're all going to be in their rooms sleeping. They're not going to know to answer the door. Hello, anyone there? Hello? OK, I'm going to have to put it for the letterbox. We've served the notice, now it's a waiting game. So we're going to be issuing proceedings and we're going to be obviously seeking damages and costs and stuff. This is just trying to intensify the pressure to try and get the property back. But there's a big but here. If he's earning big money, right, in a prime location, will he want to give it up? Most probably not.
All the while the tenant is making a killing, the owner can't even get into her own home.
She's going to be sleeping on sofa beds, you know, on friends' houses. Yeah, she's, you know, it's proper stressful. Something like this can absolutely overtake your life. If you have a problem tenant, it can be soul-destroying. It's not just the financial, it's the emotional. Whether we can get the property back without having to go to court, without having to wait for an eviction date, only time will tell, we'll have to see.
Paul's client is Joy Phillips. She has been forced to fly back from Africa to try and wrestle her home back from her tenant.
I've been in Swaziland in Africa, and I've been on a volunteering project, an NGO, which is a British charity, and we look after 5 boys' orphanages. So I kind of wanted to go out there and put something back.
Before she left, Joy needed to rent out her house. She found what sounded like the perfect tenant, a young doctor.
At the time, I thought it was a little bit strange because it's quite a large family house, and it was one single guy. He's probably aged about 27. So, but, you know, apparently all his references added up, and the agent agreed that was fine.
As well as having squeaky clean references and the perfect sounding job, her new tenant also agreed to a 3-year contract with no break clause.
A lot of the houses along here are like open plan, have been knocked through, but this one hasn't. It's all got individual rooms. And he said when he took it, it was perfect.
While Joy got on with her charity work in Africa, her tenant paid the rent on time. The first alarm bell sounded when her neighbours called her, saying lots of people seemed to be coming and going from the house.
My neighbour came down and said, what are you doing here? Oh, we're Adam's guests. And they said, are you relatives of Adam's? I said, no, we're on Airbnb.
To Joy's horror, it turned out her tenant had converted her home into a luxury bed and breakfast, putting up to 3 beds in each room.
He's put welcome to my home. I run a boutique-style hotel. I have this beautiful home. I've had it for many years.
Taking a closer look at the website, it appeared her tenant's B&B was a raging success. He was booked up for months in advance with dozens of 5-star reviews.
He told me he worked at St Bart's Hospital when I met him. I've checked, they've never even heard of him.
Though she checked with the hospital, she did not check the agencies they use. But doctor or not, Joy wondered if someone had cynically targeted her home because she was out of the country. She had little choice but to fly back and confront her tenant.
I said, you're subletting? And he said, no, I'm not. I said, I've seen your website. I was so angry. I said, that's why you didn't want to see me, you are avoiding me.
The tenant refused to admit he was even running a B&B business. Worse still, he pointed out they had a 3-year contract and he had no intention of moving out.
Now we'll have to start court proceedings. And he said he will defend himself. He will not move.
Joy has had to put her charity work on hold. Her top priority now is getting her home back.
I literally do not have anywhere to stay. I'm sleeping on my daughter's bedroom floor with her and her boyfriend. I've now had to come back home to fight this person in my house.
Joy has learnt she's dealing with a shrewd operator and won't head home to Africa until she's got him out of her house.
I think he knows every trick in the book. I think it would take months and months to get him out. He will defend himself, and we'll have to take him out of the court bailiffs, kicking and screaming.
The buy-to-let business is currently worth an incredible £1 trillion. Most landlords rely on the rent they receive from their tenants to pay the mortgage. But with rent arrears becoming the fastest-growing debt problem in the UK, if a tenant gets into financial trouble, so does the landlord. Roy Fletcher and his fiancée Lara are owed £3,000 in unpaid rent. Their tenants, who haven't paid a penny for 6 months, are making their lives a misery.
They moved in November 2013. They seemed really nice people. It was a young family, and for the first 6 months, the rent was fine, and after the 6 months, they stopped paying.
At first, Roy was sympathetic when his tenant hit financial problems. But facing money worries himself, Roy has had little choice but to start legal proceedings and hopes to get his tenant out and his property back.
I had a discussion with the tenant, explained that, he's not working. I do understand, but it's been a difficult situation all round.
Roy's had the property for 10 years and has never had any problems with his tenants before.
It's been a tough time for both of us, to be honest. It's been a lot of strain financially in terms of finding the money to pay the mortgage when someone's not paying you any rent.
Watching how it's affecting Roy, he's just been out late trying to sort things out and trying to stressed out of money. It hasn't been great.
These problems couldn't have come at a worse time for the couple.
We are getting married in August, so hopefully the money that I'm going to get back from...
It'll pay for a nice wedding.
Well, it'll pay for some wedding. So, yeah, we got a few plans, but we've got to pay for a wedding, so hopefully once I get my house back, that should help financially.
I want a nice dress.
And dresses cost a lot of money.
10 weeks pass, and although Roy has received a little money directly from his tenant's housing benefit, he's now owed £3,500. But finally, there's hope. Today's the day set by the court for his tenants to leave.
Hi, it's Roy here. I just wanted to find out, you know, obviously the possession order's expired today. You're going to be moving out. Otherwise, bailiffs have to be instructed. So, you know, if you can let me know. Cheers.
Unable to get hold of the tenants, Roy drives round to find out for himself whether they've left.
We've actually received the possession order now. Legally, I mean, the tenant should be moving out today. For me, I've probably been too nice from the start. I've supported my tenants throughout this whole process, you know, nearly 2 years of inconsistent rental payments.
It's not looking hopeful.
Yeah, that's their car there, the Fiesta. The light's on. So, yeah, they're definitely in there still.
It's a huge disappointment. Roy has little choice now but to spend yet more money on bailiffs who will forcefully evict his tenants, and that means more delays.
I just want to get the property back, be able to just be handed them keys, you know, locksmith turns up, change the locks, and then be able to walk in and just knowing that it's mine again.
There are more than 250,000 people in Britain living in rented accommodation deemed unfit for human habitation. The poor, sick and vulnerable are the most common victims, exploited by landlords who are making £5.6 billion a year from renting out slum homes. In Peterborough, Dave Marshall from the Housing Enforcement Team is investigating a slum property that's home to a young couple expecting their first child.
She took the house because she's pregnant at the moment and she wanted somewhere just quickly to move into with the future in mind. And it turns out shortly after moving in that damp and mould has presented itself.
The house has been on Dave's radar since the current tenants called him 4 months ago. But the couple have reported that conditions are getting worse.
We need to go and have another look at the house just to get a bit more information about what the conditions are like and how they've developed since I was there first time. Hello, you all right? Come in.
Yeah.
We had a very long list from the first time, didn't we?
Yes.
Marek and Chelsea moved into this house 6 months ago.
We moved in here hoping to have a nice house and like a good start. It's a nice big house.
Yeah, you could tell the place had just been freshly painted when we moved in, and within 2 weeks the damp started coming through.
Before long, the mould and damp had taken hold.
All this here. We did start decorating, but we got told not to do the window and that door because they were supposed to be putting brand new ones in.
Yes.
But that was 6 months ago.
There's a monumental gap to the outside. If I can get my hand in there, it's cold, I can feel the draft. The door starting to rot. There's signs of damp ingress in the door with mould.
This is the bathroom.
Right here it's all rotted and soaked. It's just
The
falling
toilet's
out to
constantly
pieces.
leaking.
Does that mechanical vent even work?
No, when the wind blows it sometimes.
Yeah. A wind-powered vent is no use to anybody.
Like any couple, Marek and Chelsea want to get their home ready for their baby due in just over 2 months' time. But that's not so easy.
All of his baby stuff's been kept at random people's houses because I can't bring it in here because of all the damp and mould. So it's putting a lot of stress and strain on us. Well, I'll say half my sickness is down to the stress of this place, because every time I've been to the hospital and they said, what's stressing you out? And I'm like, nothing, just the fact that my house is a complete and utter shithole.
And you are more or less being sick every day, or every other day. Yeah.
I'm 6 months pregnant and well, nearly enough 7 months, and I'm still being sick every morning.
Chelsea has been in and out of hospital with exhaustion and stress. It's not helping that the couple are forced to sleep on a pulled-out mattress in the sitting room.
This is what's supposed to be our bedroom.
It's a nice big room, you've seen would be perfect for us and the baby. But with all this, I don't think so. All this damp here. It stinks in here. Literally, the washing machine's always on the go because you dry something, and if you don't wear it straight away, you've got to wash it again before you want to wear it because it smells within a matter of days of being in here.
It looks like the damp has got much worse since Dave's last visit.
It wasn't like this when I first came, so the risk has certainly increased beyond what it was before. You're definitely looking at a Category 1 now.
Category 1 means the property is hazardous to the tenant's health, and Dave needs to take immediate action. But Chelsea and Marek have already taken matters into their own hands.
I'm refusing to pay the rent because of the state of the property. I said when the repairs get done, the rent will quite happily get paid. But even the agent that came round here has refused to ask for any money because of the state of the property. He said he wouldn't pay money to live here.
Eventually, after ignoring their request to sort out the problem, the landlord showed up.
The landlord's behaviour has been shocking. Came here, offered us £500 to move out.
To leave the same night?
Yeah, to leave the house the same night he came here at 9:30. Had the money in his hand and told us to get out that night. We haven't had it easy since living here. It's been a nightmare. It actually has.
Dave is recommending the council slap a prohibition order on the property, unless repairs are quickly made.
After today, the improvement notices will detail specifically what we want to effectively get the house back to how it should be. He'll have 6 weeks to come forward with his plan, and by the end of those 6 weeks, the works must be finished. If they're not finished, the council will intervene. The landlord doesn't have a choice.
Good. Hope he gets what's coming to him.
Thank you very much. They've been through quite a lot, to be fair with them.
See you later.
See you in a bit.
Bye.
I think Chelsea has just got to the end of her tether now. Rightly so. So she wants somewhere for her child to grow up in that she's not worrying every 5 minutes about the conditions.
The couple can only hope the flat is brought up to scratch. With just over 2 months before their baby's due, time is running out.
We just want to be able to put his cot up, put his stuff up, but we can't.
Six months ago, Joy Phillips rented her West London home out to a tenant she believed was a young doctor. But to her horror, she's discovered he's turned it into a boutique hotel, advertised on the website Airbnb. With the help of eviction specialist Paul Champlina, she started eviction proceedings.
Nice to see you. You okay?
Yeah, hi.
The problem for Joy is she's signed a 3-year fixed contract with her tenant, and he regularly pays the rent. This means there's no guarantee she'll win the case.
When you are going to court under subletting by itself, it is a discretionary ground, so you're up to the judge.
What is my percentage of winning? Because I guess when you're evicting people, it's normally
Rent arrears, and it's more than 2 months rent arrears.
Rent is normal, it's normal, isn't it? Which this is not the case yet.
I'm not going to put my mortgage on it and say, yes, he's definitely going to grant a possession order. We have to persuade the judge, and the problem is when you go to court, every judge is different.
And worst case, if the judge doesn't give repossession back, can we do anything? Or is that the end type of thing, until the end of his lease?
Well, worst case scenario, yes. I mean, the problem is you didn't have the break clause in the lease. So that would have been your saving grace to a certain extent. You're in for penny, in for pound for this. You've got to go with it, because obviously if you don't do anything, you're...
That's what I mean. I can't not do nothing.
You have to, because you want your property back.
It's not the news Joy was wanting to hear.
Hopefully we'll give our best performance in court. You know, we have to get him out. It's my home. It's my life. I actually cannot think how awful it'd be if we don't get the repossession.
because his lease is 3 years, and that will just be beyond terrible for me. I don't know what I'll do.
But a few weeks later, there's a surprise development. Rather than go to court, the tenant's lawyer contacts Paul with an offer.
Really good news for Joy. We have just found out that the tenant has agreed through his solicitor to sign a deed of surrender, and he's going to do that next Thursday at 1 o'clock, which means that Joy can go along, meet up with him, get this document signed, and hopefully that'll be the end of her case, and she won't have to go to court, which is really good news.
It's Thursday morning, and Joy is on her way to her property as she hopes to get her keys back.
I was in absolute shock. I was stunned, and it didn't even sink in.
Her tenant has agreed to meet her in the property to sign the house over to her.
I think that is Adam. I think he's just seen us, actually. He's on his phone. No, he's kind of keeping out the way. Mind you, he has to come out sometime.
This is Joy, the landlady.
Hello.
Wins the car.
The management agent, Colinette, and her colleague arrive to check the property and make sure Joy's tenant is true to his word and signs the deed of surrender.
Are you doing the inventory?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
The allotted time for the handover is 1 o'clock, but her tenant is yet to answer the door.
What's he going to do, stay in there forever? He's got to come out at some point. We are supposedly meeting the tenant, Adam, at 1 p.m, which is 10 minutes ago.
Nearly half an hour after the tenancy should be officially over, it's not going to plan. The agent uses the management keys to get in.
Hello. Here to do the inventory. And it's confirmed at 1 o'clock.
The tenant is now refusing to sign the deed of surrender.
Shall I come and talk to you? Because we agreed the lady would come at 1 p.m. with your lawyer.
The tenant is pointing out that because the deed hasn't been signed, the inventory can't take place. He's effectively stopped the handover.
No, she said not to sign it till after we did the inventory checkout. That's what your lawyer said, not ours.
The tenant won't budge and is now threatening to call the police.
What, so it's professional to run an Airbnb? You are in breach of contract for subletting. It is quite simple.
Joy has no choice but to leave.
I feel a bit in anticipation, really. I don't know. I'm sort of, I believe it will happen. It's just a hitch, typical of the tenant to move the goalposts, really.
For Joy, it's a serious setback. With her tenant not playing ball, she's not sure when she'll get her home back. More and more Britons see renting out a property as an easy way to help fund their retirement. But with the number of tenants falling behind with their rent at an all-time high, becoming a landlord can prove anything but stress-free. That's what one Wakefield man discovered when he stopped getting rent. Miran Spivak decided to retire early from his job as a barber and top up his pension by renting out several properties.
I'm nervous now. I've never been to court. I feel as if I'm going now, guilty of a crime and trying to get me innocence. So we'll see.
Today, Miran is on his way to court to try and evict one of his tenants, who has paid him very little rent in the last 7 months. Owed £3,000, Miran had won possession at a hearing his tenant did not attend.
She has been the worst tenant I've ever had. And it's our pension. and it's hard to evict a tenant. This is really her court hearing that she wants to stay in longer. Our court hearings were done and dusted, so she applied for this one.
Due to move out tomorrow, the tenant has put in a last-minute defence. So Mirren's back in court with the help of eviction specialist Chris Sharp.
I have met Chris a couple of times. In fact, I used to cut his hair when he was still at school, so I've known him for quite a few years.
This tenant owes over £3,000 for rent, but yet still has the audacity to ask for more time. She hasn't given any good reasons. In fact, she says in her application she's not willing to move out.
Unsure of what his tenant's defence will be, Mirren and his wife Michelle know that if the judge rules in her favour, it's going to cost them yet more time and money.
Try not to worry, I mean, that's why I'm here.
I know.
So
I'll trust you.
I'll do the talking for you.
I trust you.
But we're going to go in there, we're going to see what we can do.
Right.
And hopefully get this application opposed.
That was Dorita Shimanabusi, the tenant in that flat.
The hearing takes place and the tenant makes her defence. Most eviction hearings are over in minutes, but this one takes almost an hour.
It's good news. Basically, the court said there's no exceptional hardship today. The court simply wasn't impressed by the fact that there was over £3,000 in arrears still. Yet this individual, the tenant, seemed to have no conscience in relation to the outstanding arrears.
Oh, well over the moon, yes. Oh, brilliant. In fact, at least I can know, Chris. I'll give you a free haircut.
This means the eviction can go ahead tomorrow. Mirren instructs the bailiffs and can only hope she leaves quickly and quietly. For 5 months, landlord Roy Fletcher and his fiancée Lara have been struggling to get rid of a tenant who now owes them close to £4,000 in unpaid rent. The tenant has ignored the eviction notice and refused to leave. So Roy has had to dip further into his pocket to pay for bailiffs, and today's the day the tenant must go.
I've had times where I've broken down because I've been so annoyed and upset and just want it to be over, to be honest. I've got a feeling that he still might be there, so we're just going to have to wait and see.
With his wedding plans in jeopardy, Roy is hoping his tenant will go quietly.
How you doing, guys? You all right? Yeah. I'm ready for it.
Roy's dad and brother Kenny are on hand for moral support.
It is, yeah.
The bailiff is already at the house and the eviction can begin.
How's it going?
You're the owner, yeah?
I am the owner, yeah.
Roy has no idea whether the tenant is there and what state his property is going to be in.
Goose. Is anyone in or?
I haven't answered, so we'll give it a bash.
Look.
Hello, everyone. No garage or shed attached?
No. Actually, I'm going to have a quick look outside.
Yeah.
Looks like it's empty.
It's good news. Not only has the tenant gone, but he's left the house in a good state.
Dad, we can change it now, it's fine. He's left. Thanks for your help. Take care, all the best. Thank you. Yes. All right, darling?
Roy calls his fiancée to tell her the good news.
They've actually moved out, so it's all, I've got it back, so I'm happy now.
Wow, I'm so pleased.
Yeah, so it's been a long time coming.
It's been hard for him, really. It's like always you're angry to start with, especially when it's your own son. But then you have to be good. You have to follow the law, and eventually, lucky like today, it's all come good.
Now that he has his house back, Roy wants to try and get back the £4,000 he's owed in unpaid rent, but his chances are slim.
I will be chasing for that money, all the money I've lost, all the expenses I've had to pay for. It's going to help me, pay for the wedding and, the stress will be gone, so, you know, we'll be happy on the day.
Let's hope it's a good home for someone else again.
I'm not going to be cutting any corners. I'm going to make sure that I find someone that's going to look after the place and pay me rent on time. I'm feeling positive for the future, so it's going to be a good year. Yes.
Chelsea Bowes and her partner Marek are just over 2 months away from the birth of their first child, but living in a 2-bedroom house infested with mould and damp.
Well, I say half my sickness is down to the stress of this place.
Because of the slum conditions, Chelsea claims she's suffering from stress and exhaustion.
We haven't had it easy since living here. It's been a nightmare. It actually has.
Today, Dave Marshall from Peterborough Housing Enforcement Team is on his way to serve notice to the letting agent and the landlord, ordering that they carry out repairs.
Basically, this will indicate exactly what we expect of them and by when, and formalises the council's position with regards to the repairs. I've given them 6 weeks, and shouldn't they meet those expectations, then the council will then intervene and carry out those works and bill them, essentially.
With the notices now served, the landlord will have no choice but to do the work or cease renting out the property. But for Chelsea and Marek, there's some news.
All right. Yeah.
With the clock ticking to their baby's arrival, Chelsea's dad has stepped in and found them a new house.
There you go. Go on then.
That's nice.
It is, isn't it?
It smells a bit better than the other place, doesn't it?
Yeah. I've got a downstairs toilet as well.
Oh, downstairs, Lou.
This is the biggest bedroom. This is going to be mine and Marek's bedroom.
He's going to read carpet everywhere.
This is the smallest, so this is going to be the baby's. It's much better than what I'm in now. Just want to get it painted, get it carpeted, get my stuff in, and I will be happy.
You're done in 2 weeks.
Yeah. And I can have somewhere to call home, and I can put my bed up, and I can go to sleep in my nice bed. Just be happy to get out of there and get in here and get settled. Oh, thank you.
Whee!
They also know they're going to be in good hands, as the landlord is a friend of the family.
He's a good landlord. He lives in the same village as me, so it just come available at the right time. I'm going to grow all my tomatoes in here.
You're going to lay some grass first?
Grass?
Yeah.
Right, should we go?
Yep.
You happy with that?
Yep, I am, Daddy.
Finally, Chelsea can start to make plans and create a home for her new family. The letting agents claimed that they did not know anything about the property until they were contacted by Peterborough Council with the list of defects, because a rogue ex-employee had let the property to Chelsea and Marek without their knowledge. As soon as the council contacted them, both they and the landlord made arrangements to carry out the work. However, they claimed that some of the tradespersons received abuse from the couple, and that even with the assistance of the council, the couple would not allow access to the property for work to be carried out. Work to the property has now been completed, and new tenants are in occupation.
OK then. OK, bye. Right, I think we should go down. I'll see you later, bit.
All right, honey. Good luck.
Today, landlord Miran Spivak is evicting his tenant Dorit, who has got seriously behind with her rent. Miran and his wife Michelle are now over £3,000 out of pocket.
She's caused him a lot of heartache, you know, and it's been awful to watch him and not being able to do anything for him.
Miran bought the flat with the tenant already living there. When the housing benefit stopped, so did the rent to Miran.
I suppose it's one part of the law that non-paying tenants don't get prosecuted.
With bailiffs on their way, Miran hopes that finally his tenant will leave without a fight.
Here we go. Have you much more stuff to take?
I'm still moving,
Yeah.
so I don't know, but I was like, can I go until 4?
12 o'clock, 12 o'clock. The solicitors come in at 11:30 with the bailiffs.
11, not 12.
Well, no, they'll be here for 12. Sure to wait till 4 o'clock.
The tenant, Dorit, claims she ran into trouble when her housing benefit payments stopped.
I'm not working, I'm on GSC. So I'm entitled to housing benefits. So I don't know what went on with my housing benefits. That's the problem. It's not that I'm not willing to pay for the rent. It's not for me to, you know.
Good morning.
Lawyer Chris Sharp arrives to supervise the eviction.
All going to plan, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So no problems?
No, no, no.
She's gone.
Yep.
Mirren has been keen to make improvements on the flat since he bought it. He and Chris head upstairs to see what kind of state it's in.
It's disgusting. Well, I'm going to be busy.
It's not what you want. When you haven't paid rent for this length of time, you've ignored court orders, you run out of options. And the only option then is to have to leave when the bailiffs come.
Mirren is planning on giving the place a refurb, so wastes no time and starts by tearing out the kitchen.
It's been strange because I've owned it for over 12 months and this might be the 3rd time I've been in the property. So I've owned it, I don't know it, in a way. So it still feels weird coming in. Can let my frustration out now on this property to do it all up nicely for a nice tenant. Mine again. I've got it back.
Four weeks ago, Mirren Spivak evicted his tenant because he hadn't received full rent for 7 months. Since then, he's been busy doing up the flat.
Right, the lounge is finished. It's all brand new. New radiators, new doors, same kitchen. And then the bathroom. Small, compact, but it's ideal for one person.
For Mirren, it's been a mammoth task.
It was a nightmare. Well, the plaster falling off. You just want to rip him back down, all plaster off, rewiring, new walls, lowered ceilings, start from scratch again, really. It's done properly now, so the right tenant in, it'll last like for years now. And really, yes, it needed a lot of work, but the tenant was worse than the property. Which I can't complain, 20 years of rented properties, to say it's the first time I've had to get bailiffs in to one of my properties, I can't complain about that. It's been experience. Really, it's going to be 12 months until I get my money back what I've spent on the property before I break even again. So if you look at it that way, you think twice.
But not to be deterred, Mirren is re-letting the flat.
The good news is the person's been waiting for this property now for 4 months. I've told him he can move in next week. Stressing over the eviction and stressing modernising it all, it's been hard work, really hard work. But next week I can sit back and think that job's done, I've 2 nice tenants, rent's coming in, it's been worth it.
After 7 months of hell and one false start, Joy Phillips has finally got her home back.
Hey. Whew. Wow.
The house is no longer being used as a boutique hotel, advertised on Airbnb.
It's great to see it. It's just... I can't believe it's mine. I know I own it, but it's just such a shock after everything that Adam has put me through.
Not only has the house had all the extra wear and tear, but because it was sublet, her insurance wasn't valid.
It's just been so emotional. I mean, I've had no insurance on the property either. That's probably my main concern. So, if the house had burnt down or, you know, the water tank burst, I had no cover at all. You know, I'm sitting in Africa. It was really stressful. Anyway, onwards and upwards. I'm just grateful I've got my house back and got rid of the nightmare tenant. A tenant from hell.
A few weeks later, and Joy has come to a momentous decision.
Yes, so excited.
She's not returning to Africa to continue with her charity work, but moving back to the UK permanently, and is now living in her home with her daughter.
So just unpacking all my clothes. So elated, just over the moon. Very, very happy. Even now, I wake up and I'm so grateful. And I am never going to let again. It's just completely put me off. You just need one bad tenant and it literally changes your life. It's stressful, it's emotional. It's cost me absolutely thousands in legal fees.
After 7 months of stress and worry and thousands of pounds out of pocket, Joy is now finally able to look forward to her future.
I'm keeping still, not moving anywhere. I've got to look for a job, just get settled, and just take it from there, really.